Okay, so I'm gonna put my Laker fandom aside until you guys request it, because honestly, I feel like I can't even show my face on my own YouTube channel recently based off of how terrible we've been. So let's talk about something a little bit more uplifting, or more terrifying if you're a Laker fan, more terrifying than the fact that we didn't sign Alex Caruso for a 2-year, $20 million contract despite him being one of the most effective role players on our team, more terrifying than the fact that Russell Westbrook doesn't fit with the Los Angeles Lakers at all whatsoever. As a matter of fact, let's not talk about the Lakers at all whatsoever. Let's discuss the top team in the Western Conference, and that's the Golden State Warriors. If there's one thing that legitimately terrifies me in the NBA, is how the Golden State Warriors are on a run that is almost as good as their 2015 to 2016 NBA season start. Obviously, they're not starting 24-0 with an interim head coach that clearly isn't that good of a head coach, but still, it's terrifying. And the worst is yet to come, man. So before we get to the content, make sure you purchase a casual hoodie for your buddy that doesn't think Steph Curry is a top 3-point guard of all time off of TheFlightMike.com. We're gonna have these running for a little bit, man. I think I'm gonna take them off during Black Friday. So if you wanna get a chance to support the channel, this is a cool way to do it. Of course, make sure you drop a like, subscribe, and turn on our notifications, and follow me on Instagram and Twitter if you want to tag me in any other news that you want me to cover. Now that we got all that out of the way, cue the intro. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? If you asked anybody in the NBA, I don't think anyone anticipated this from the Golden State Warriors. I made a video during the early part of the regular season, and I was thinking, okay, this team is taking on fairly average to below average competition, although it was a little bit too early to formulate a conclusion on that entire situation based off of the small sample size that we got. But then you look at their schedule, man, and they were taking down fairly difficult opponents. I know the Hawks are still trying to figure it out currently, but they were able to beat the Chicago Bulls, which is the best team in the Eastern Conference so far. Well, tied for first place so far. Technically, that's the Washington Wizards, and let me know if you want us to make a video on that. And the terrifying part is that they're doing this all based off of the same way they played basketball back during their 2015 to 2016 season. Gone are the times where you could just pass it in to Kevin Durant and pray for a nice little isolation play when Steph Curry is cold. Well, the problem is Steph Curry isn't cold. Steph Curry, once again, is in the midst of one of his most effective seasons in NBA history. He's not shooting 42% from 3 like he did last year. He's shooting 39%. I hope we could deal with that. The man's been averaging 28 points per game to go with 6.7 assists per game and 1.7 steals per game. Now, to complement him, you have Damian Lee that is currently once again shooting 40% from 3. Oh, and do you remember when we were pegging Jordan Poole as the most likely player to break out, yet we were waiting on him to break out? Well, it appears as though he is finally breaking out with 17.2 points per game, shooting 43% from the field and 31% from 3. Jonathan Kuminga is still coming into his own, but he did have a pretty sweet play the other night. He's been showing defensive versatility and a lot of promise defensively. I mean, look at this play that he had on Miles Bridges just the other night. This is what makes Jonathan Kuminga so terrifying and why he was drafted so high. The earliest he could show in his development is his ability to lock down defenders. But take a look at the slam that he had the other night against the Chicago Bulls. Take a look at the athleticism and his potential, man. As a matter of fact, I don't think I could do him justice, but to give you an idea, when you look at Jonathan Kuminga's body structure right now, he compares to Kawhi Leonard and Giannis Antetokounmpo fairly well in terms of his height, because last year he was 6'8" and 225 pounds. Then he ballooned up to 6'10" and 240 pounds. Now, I'm not saying that he's going to grow to 6'11" and become 240 pounds like Giannis Antetokounmpo, but the physical profile that made him comparable to Giannis Antetokounmpo and Kawhi Leonard is absolutely there. And take a look at what his head coach Steve Kerr had to say about that.
I think he understands when he's playing with us that he's deferring to Steph and Draymond, that he's not the focal point, that he can be part of it without having to shoulder the responsibility of all the decision making. And then when it comes time for him to make a decision, to make a play, he's just doing the simple thing and moving the ball on. And that's a great sign for a young guy. I think about Kawhi Leonard a lot. I think that's a good comp in terms of the size and the strength. I've watched some Kawhi from his rookie year, and Kawhi was playing with Manu and Timmy and Tony Parker, so he was kind of the fourth or fifth option. I think he played 24 minutes tonight, scored 8 or 10 points a night, and played defense, and like that was the foundation for what he's become. It's a good comp for us. You know, JK's probably not going to play that many minutes because we're in a place where we need the experience of the veterans to help us win right now. But in terms of his big picture development, this is a great time for him to be laying the foundation, and that's what he's doing.
This brings us all the way to probably the scariest part of the Golden State Warriors, and it's this update that we officially got from Jordan Schultz of the Schultz Report. So take a look at this, man. Source: Klay Thompson is making steady progress and is 5 to 6 weeks away from his long anticipated return. I'm told that Klay is in great shape and close to playing fives, which is paramount to him being cleared. The 11-1, well now 11-2 Golden State Warriors play at the Phoenix Suns on Christmas Day. So I believe the Golden State Warriors were targeting a Christmas Day return for Klay Thompson. And we even got an update from Steve Kerr in regards to James Wiseman as well.
How has James looked since he's kind of increased his activity?
Good. I mean, it's been an incremental approach. So, you know, there hasn't been that aha moment where it's like, oh wow, you know, he just took this leap. We've been purposely deliberate for the last couple of months, just slowly ramping things up. He's getting a lot of work in, and he's feeling good.
Still no scrimmaging?
Not yet.
Once this happens, one of two things could go down, and one is way more likelier than the other. So the least likely thing that's going to happen is, well, all the role players that were already performing really well are going to be frustrated with their lesser role, and as a result, the Golden State Warriors might perform a little bit worse than they started the year out of, and I don't think that's going to happen. I think what's more likely to happen is Klay Thompson and James Wiseman join a team that's already loaded with depth. I mean, you look at the wing position, man, you got Jonathan Kuminga, you got Otto Porter Jr., and you got Andre Iguodala, who can serve as a remarkable mentor for Jonathan Kuminga. At the shooting guard position, you're going to have Jordan Poole, Damian Lee, Klay Thompson, and at the very end of the bench, Moses Moody, which I really hope they send down to the G League because otherwise his career could potentially get ruined if he doesn't play at all. Point guard position, of course, you got Steph Curry. Currently, the Golden State Warriors are running these super freaking deep rotations, and they don't even have their full big three at full strength yet, which is what's probably the most terrifying part of this team. Bear in mind, they're the top team in the West so far. Of course, I wonder if the NBA did some schedule manipulation, giving them a very easy schedule to start the season, because if you look at their schedule in the very beginning, it's not like they were playing the toughest teams, although they did beat some good teams, but for the most part, most of the teams that they beat were lottery teams last year. But moving forward, when they do face their harder teams, they're gonna have Klay Thompson for those games, which makes them, at least currently, my favorite to make a run to represent the West in the NBA Finals. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about all this. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.